Alright, we have recently heard about a new term which is sock puppets. Although we could write books about the world of sock puppets and the techniques they use, we'll try to break it down for you so you can be aware of them or even start creating your own one. But first off, let's answer the question, who are they? In the digital world, a sock puppet is like a fake identity someone creates to interact with others online. They might seem real. They have a profile picture, they post comments, they share stories, but in reality they are controlled by someone else, often with a hidden motive. These fake identities can be used to influence other opinions, spread false information, or even spy on others without them knowing. There are people who dedicate months up to years developing these sock puppets, tailoring their fake personas, getting close to their targets so then they can leverage it. To simplify it, think of it as people who create fake profiles just to post negative reviews on their competitors' products. Just here, the people are much more sophisticated. They use much more thorough techniques and have a bigger goal in mind. However, on the other end, there are sock puppet hunters. These individuals have comprehensive knowledge about sock puppets and how their owners operate. And as the name suggests, their goal is to uncover these malicious actors. In this section you'll learn how to set up a sock puppet which imitates a real human and that's not easy to distinguish. How to not get it linked to your identity, which is a very important aspect also known as privacy. And also we'll learn about more advanced techniques you can use to accomplish your sock puppet's goal. Right, I hope you're excited for this section as we'll learn some important things that you might not need to use but it is important to be aware of. Alright, that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Hi, welcome back. Now that we know what sock puppets are, let's move on and dive into some techniques these fake personas are built upon. The first thing we'll do is build a profile. This means come up with a name, date of birth, email, profile picture, location, and so on. But let's hold on for a second. To make it more appealing to our target, we might want to create that fake data carefully. So let's reassess. What is our intention and who is our target? To keep it realistic, let's say an election is coming up. The Eagles party, and our goal is to get supporters of the Turtles party to not vote for our opponent, but rather for the party that hired us. Now you can pause the video and think how we'd approach this task. Once you have thought it through, let me tell you about a few approaches that popped up in my head. First off, I don't think just creating a fan page for our party would result in many people shifting from the opposite party to ours. What if we created a persona who claims to have worked with the Turtle Party members in the previous years? And as a reminder, the Turtles Party is the opposite party. It's not the one we are supporting. We would start by gaining trust of the Turtle Party supporters by pushing pro-Turtle Party content. Then for some time before the election, we would publish posts that are meant to get lots of engagement, which will make our profile more visible on social media. And from that point we would change the way our sock puppet perceives the Turtle Party, by spreading misinformation and sharing narratives that are not in favor of that party. This could potentially shift some votes from the opposite party to the party that hired us. So, coming back to profile building, we need to create a detailed profile that often involves adding personal information such as photos, background stories, and interests to make the profiles seem genuine. In this exact case, it would make sense to write a few articles on how our sock puppet was involved in the Turtle Party and then have them posted on a few legitimate news websites. Some of you might already know it, but this is an often used procedure by fake internet gurus to pay news websites to post articles about their fake achievements. It is done to build the credibility and we can use it in our favor too. Another important factor is how often the account posts or tweets. To make it as trustworthy as possible, we want to either be consistent in our posting or schedule our post with a tool such as Hootsuite or Social Pilot. If the platform we post on is, for example, X, which is former Twitter, we want to test first off that the software we use to schedule our post doesn't leave any watermarks. Now, once the sock puppet has some posting history, we can engage with others within the niche, and in order to be liked, we can mimic the style and tone of a genuine member. It is very important to stay under the radar until we get respected within the community. It is as we don't want to waste months of work on the sock puppet. For those of you that are extra curious, there will be a few articles linked at the end of the section so you can learn more about the world of sock puppets. Alright, so now that you know a few principles, we can move on to the practical part. That's it for this lecture. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Hi, welcome back. Now that we know some of the theory behind sock puppets, let's get to creating one. For this purpose, there are a few tools I want to introduce you to. The first one is bizner.com/fakeid.php. This website pretty much generates us a whole set of fake data we can use to set up a fake persona. And now every time we refresh the page, we'll get a new details, so if you like what you're seeing, then feel free to save them somewhere. So it pretty much starts off with the gender, first, middle and the last names, then with the birthday, which is also very important when setting up accounts on many websites because we want to keep it consistent. Then we get the birthplace. Then if we scroll down, there's also the zodiac sign, but we get an email. Also this website, I think it can generate for you this particular email if you are interested in it. If not, there are other ways we can set up an email, but you'll learn about it later on. Then we got a fake social security number, some fake passport details, driver's license, car, and if we scroll down, we get the hair color. There's some physical appearance wise. These are not as important as of now because you'll learn later on that we need to generate also the profile picture. Then we got some personality. We can base our persona on, but we need to sometimes tailor it so we can be as appealing to that particular group of people as possible. Then we get some fake US federal taxpayer identification number and some extra information. If you like the information this website generates for you, feel free to save it somewhere locally on your device in case of a black swan event. So for example, this website gets taken down or is inaccessible for some time and you want to have some fake personas generated for the time when you need to use it. And keep in mind, every time if I refresh the page now, you can see that for now it's Jessica C. Ross. If I refresh the page, we get Rita and Wright. And we get other information of 42 years old and so on from Las Vegas and so on and so on. Also feel free to hover over the tools section, as here we get some additional tools. For example, we are right now with the fake ID generator, but then we get some lottery numbers generator, random number generator, password generator, car license plate generator, and so on and so on. Sometimes, you never know, you might need those, so keep in mind this tools has them. Even if you click on more tools, there will be even more tools. We have got some buzzword generator, code cracker, lottogen, and so on and so on. But let's not forget, the purpose for this lecture is to generate a sock puppet. The next tool for similar purpose is fakenamegenerator.com. It is quite similar to the previous tool, but with a few exceptions. The main principle is the same, meaning you refresh the page and you get a different set of data. However, the output it generates is slightly different from the previous one. This one doesn't come up with passport information, driving license, the personality, and probably a few other details. The major difference, however, is that here we can select a few things that will have an effect on the persona it will generate for us. If we look at the top of the page, we can select the gender, we can do random, we can do male, we can do female. Then we can choose the name set. For example, American, Arabic, Australian, Brazilian, and so on and so on. Then we can select the country. So for example, let's keep it with the United States, but let's do name set, let's do a German one. Now if we generate a new one, it should be a female that has German first and last names and is based in the United States. So I'll click on generate. And we have some Joanna Lemon. Then we can see that she's 81 years old, but we'll be able to change this in a second. Then if we keep scrolling down, we can see other details like favorite color, tracking numbers, physical characteristics, employment, finance. Obviously it's all fake. And then we get also geo-coordinates, and here is the home address. And if we just search it, we can see that it is in, we can see, let me just change it to English, and let's do maps. And we can see it's in Illinois, next to Chicago. So let's close this for a second. And there's one more thing. We can go with the advanced options. Here we can also do a name set and the country, or we can even switch the region. So for example, I'll switch the region, and pretty much there are fewer regions than countries because there are not regions for every country they have in the country section. So for example, let's do California. We'll do Australian name set, and here we can select the gender in percentage. And what does it mean? For example, if we make it, let's say, male 10% and female 90%. It doesn't mean it is going to be something in between a gender, but 10% of the generated personas will be male and 90% of the fake generated personas will be females. So it is very useful, for example, when we need to create lots of fake personas and we just need a rough number that, let's say, 90% of them will be female, 10% will be male. This could be useful in taking over an online forum where we need 90% of our sock puppets to be female for certain purposes. As an interesting fact, it's easier to convince a male to do something when you're a female, or if you appear to be female, when in comparison to being a male. And here we can also change the age, so let's do maybe from 36 to, let's do 47. Now, if we click on generate, the name set should be Australian, they should be located in California, in 10% of cases it should be a male, and in 90% of the cases it should be a female, and in the age ranging from 36 to 47 years old. So I'll click on generate. We can see it's a female. We can see she is based in California, and we can see that she is 37 years old. Now let's generate another one. We get a Spencer. Okay, this time it's the 10%. He is 47 years old, so the upper limit, and he's also based in California. So let's just switch it to Florida, for example. I'll click on generate, and it's once again a female from Florida, 45 years old, yada yada yada. Also, this website has a few other additional free tools. So if we click on free tools, we can see we get some credit card and ECH generation and validation. We get national ID number generator and alternative generation tools. And we get some miscellaneous tools, for example, vehicle identification number, and so on and so on. Right, so the next step is to generate a profile picture for our sock puppet. Our go-for website is this person does not exist. Also, if you have ever any issues finding the web application we are using, we will link them in the resources at the end of the section. Back to the person that does not exist. As the website suggests, all the people in the pictures it generates for us do not exist. Here, however, we don't have any settings that we can apply, so we'll have to just keep refreshing the page until we get a good match for our persona. So let's just refresh. This one is not bad, but usually you have to inspect closely if it's everything is alright with the picture, because sometimes obviously it's an AI and it makes errors. So let's keep on generating this one. This looks weird, however, this is a good picture, I would say. And if we keep refreshing, what do we have here? Wait, let me just go back. And let's say 37 years old. She might look a little bit too old. This one too old, too old, too old. And if you see, we keep generating new ones. Here, however, I also encourage you, in case of a Black Swan event, please generate quite some pictures, save them, and you'll have them for future purposes. Obviously, you have to cut out this part out of the picture. Now, if we'll just do a few more pictures, let's see. This one could work, maybe. So if I was to use it, I would just do right-click, not copy image, I mean save image as. I would save it locally, and then I would obviously strip the EXIF data, but I will teach you about the EXIF data later on. Alright, I think we are missing one more key aspect, and it is an email address. And here it gets a little bit tricky. When I need to set up a quick burner account to test some website which requires you to be logged in, my goal for email address generator is temp-email.org. It pretty much just generates some pseudo-random email for you, just so you can get the verification email. Just keep in mind to never use it for any important matters where you need to keep the email, as this email should get removed after half an hour or so. The same platform also offers an email that is only open for 10 minutes, and after that it removes all the messages and closes itself. So if you want to access it, just scroll down and you'll get the 10-minute mail. Click on it, give it a few seconds to generate, and we get some fake email with some fake domain.com. If the website you are trying to register on does not let you use the email you generated with this service, or the email just doesn't come through, I found email.tm to be a good alternative. However, this kind of mail will get easily flagged by the major social media services such as Facebook or Instagram, and you will be most likely required to perform an additional verification. This means we don't want to use disposable mail services for our sock puppets or for our investigator accounts. We also don't really want to use the known email providers as they get scanned quite a bit. One option is fastmail.com. However, after the 30-day trial, you lose access to the email, so you can either get the paid version, which is about $5 to $10 a month, or go with a free provider. If your investigation is to last less than 30 days, it is a good option, as they don't require you to link to an already existing email address. However, the last matter is when we are setting up a new account. X, which is former Twitter, is more or less forgiving, and the only thing that you need to pay attention to is you want to be connecting from a residential or business network, which means that you are not using a VPN to not get flagged, and you are using a legitimate email address. It is said that Facebook and Instagram are quite challenging. In most cases, the users are required to share a phone number with the platform in order to verify that they're an actual human. However, if we try VoIP numbers such as Skype, Viber, or Google Voice, we'll learn that these don't work anymore. Michael Basil, however, found a way to get it to work, and it was by turning off all the IP masking services such as VPN, Tor browser, or any proxy, and then connect from home or company's network. Also, you need to remember to log out of any accounts that you're logged in and clear your internet cache. Then instead of Facebook, you can proceed with m.facebook.com, which is its mobile version. We do it as their mobile version is less restricting and might let us bypass the phone verification requirement. However, if you are still being asked to provide a phone number, you can try going to an internet cafe or a library and using their public Wi-Fi. Then about a day after you successfully set up an account, you can try logging in while behind a VPN. Just keep in mind to stay consistent, meaning using the same VPN provider and choosing the same or similar location. At the end of the day, you don't want anyone to be able to link your sock puppet to your personal account. Later in the course, you will learn that you can find links between email accounts and how to perform it. That's also a good reason why I wouldn't go for Gmail or GMX as an email provider for our sock puppets. They would simply require an already existing secondary email for our new account. Alright, that's quite a bit of information for now. Don't forget to keep making notes and move on once you have digested these concepts. Thank you, and I will see you in the next lecture. Hi. Hopefully by now you have digested the previous lectures and you are ready for another dose of techniques. Obviously, if you just plan to set up an alternative account that won't put you at any risk, you won't need to cover yourself as much with these techniques, but I'll go through the process in case you find it useful. If you have successfully set up a sock puppet without the need for a phone number verification, congratulations. If not, there is still another option. I'm mentioning it only now as it requires you to purchase either Mint Mobile SIM card from Amazon if you're located in North America, or just go with Silent Link if you're located anywhere else. You can use these to create accounts and then right away activate two-factor authentication. The final step here is to keep the sock puppet accounts at least somewhat active. If you don't do it and then try to log into it after a while, you'll see that it's gotten suspended. But you might wonder why we need all of it. First of all, just plain human error. Imagine you are browsing your target's profile and by an accident you send them a friend request or interact in any other way, such as liking their content. Your target then gets a notification that you are interested in them. That's where they stop posting and might start removing content to prevent you from finding anything. Even if you don't interact with the target, platforms such as Facebook might show you to them as a person they might know. Alright, this time we should be done setting up an account. So what now? We know what a sock puppet is, how one is created, and for what reason. However, how does it look like on the other end? Mario from Will Live Security wrote an excellent article. This is pretty much a quick breakdown on OSINT sock puppets and how a hunter might spot one. And it could be, for example, by use of stock images. Or maybe if you used someone's picture for your profile picture, they could just use facial recognition tools to trace you back. I encourage you to at least skim through it, as you might learn something new. Another one you might find interesting will be The Art of Sock by Guys Blue. Here, besides explaining the concept of sock puppets, he explained why a female sock puppet might be a good idea. Next on the list is identifying forum agitators, psyops, and shills. To be honest, to this day I'm surprised this article isn't behind a paywall. The person or group behind it put together lots of techniques which can be used with sock puppets. The author pretty much goes on to how you can literally control an online community or an internet forum. If you want to upgrade your sock puppet game, this is a must read. You'll learn how to collect information from other users, how to minimize the impact of allegations pointed at you or even redirect them at the opposite party. Also, there are 25 rules of disinformation, 8 traits of disinformationist, and so on and so on. Once you get familiar with all of it, you'll realize that you come across these techniques on a daily basis. And now I think it's the right time to remind you that everything you are taught in this course is for educational purposes. You can use all the techniques as long as you're obeying your local law. For the purpose of this course, we have set up a sock puppet, which as an exercise you will be trying to find. However, don't worry as of now, once you start learning search techniques, we'll give you some clues. That's it for this section. If you enjoyed the topic of sock puppets, I encourage you to keep digging, and if you haven't, set up your first sock puppet and start interacting with others. Once again, all the tools and all the articles we go through are usually at the end of each section in the notes. So feel free to check them out. Thank you, and I will see you in the next section where we'll learn about different search operators in various search engines.